What's going on, Cancer? And welcome to the Chariot Friends. Justin here, and I hope you're feeling amazing today. So, for those of you who are returning, welcome back, Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, and shares. Your support really does mean a lot to me, and it keeps us growing. And for those of you who are new, welcome. I'm happy Higher Self has brought you here. We are in for an amazing journey. So the purpose of this channel, for those of you who have Cancer in your placement, Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, wherever Cancer, this one's for you. And I do tarot card spreads based off our ruler here, the good old Moon. And I'll talk about what sign she's in, what phase she's in, when she's going void, of course, just all of those lunar shenanigans. And just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one, so take what resonates with you, leave the rest with me. Never force a reading on a situation, and everything will be dope, Cancer. Now, let's jump into it. Your space has been cleansed. Gems, feeling lovely. Just good energy all around here, Cancer. Now, Cancer, the moon is going to be going void of course tonight at 7:07 p.m. and that's going to be Central Time. And she'll be moving from Gemini into Cancer at 8:39 p.m. So we're looking at about a 1 hour, 33-minute void of course there for you, Cancer. Nice. And during the void of course time, this is a good time for meditation, maybe doing some introspective work. This is also a time too where you may notice that decisions may be, that plans may be subject to change, and that people are less likely to make decisions during this time. So just something to be mindful of when we're in this energy, Cancer. And then with the moon, being in Gemini for the majority of the day, we're still working with that mercurial energy. It's you may be feeling more kind of like intellectually stimulated, and maybe feeling a little more chatty. So this is good energy if you wanted to do any sort of like studious work, or if you have any sort of like social affairs, or just want to call up a buddy. This is good energy to work with. And then also the moon is still in a first quarter phase. So, things are still picking up speed, and we're just making sure that we're following through on whatever we plan during this lunar cycle, Cancer. So just keep that in mind. And then lastly, the decks that I'm using. This one is the Dreamy Moons Tarot deck, Chariot Friends exclusive. And then this deck is the first part it's like the Celestial Destiny Astrological Oracle deck or something along those lines. But I'm going to include an accurate title of this deck and other decks that I like using down in the description box below. So definitely check that out if you're interested, Cancer. But let's go ahead and get into the general energy of the day, which is the Six of Crystals. And I feel like with the Six of Crystals popping up, Cancer, this is simply just a card of letting things go, and I feel like if we've had letting things go of, like, let's say, for example, if you've ever had one of those days where it just seems like things don't seem to be lining up correctly, you started off real good, and then it's just been sort of like, just kind of like miss after miss after miss after miss, maybe one win, miss, and then you're just like, it's got you in your head where it's just like, what is going on? I thought, like, higher self, what's happening? Universe, what are we doing? If we've ever gotten into like a space like that, I feel like this energy is sort of like, okay, where we at? I feel like this brings us to like the present, when we get in stuff like that, because normally, or sometimes I feel like when things like that happen, we kind of live in that energy throughout the rest of the day. We kind of let that become the flavor of the day. Whereas opposed to, like when things happen like that, it's just like in Cancer, believe me, I get it. If we're going through something like this, it's like where it may be tough in the moment, where it's just like, okay, presently, all right, that happened. That wasn't great. What can I do now? How can I adapt to this situation right now? Let's work with this Gemini energy. How can I be flexible? How can I think on my feet? How can I get what are some ways can I get over this? Is a breathing exercises being good so I can help maybe let this go? Maybe I need to sit down in silence for a little bit, just kind of be in my head for a second, or kind of maybe meditate, but anything I feel like just to not let it so that we're carrying it throughout the day, because believe Cancer, when we get caught up in thoughts like that and we start to spiral, thoughts become things, and then that it does it you've seen how it happens, and I'm sure you've experienced it. If we've even started off our day and it's like when it's just like, oh, it's gonna be a blah 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 blah. I feel like it's time to let some of that stuff go. It's just like, no, yesterday happened. Today's a new day, new cycle, new me. Let that be the tone of the day. And I feel like that, we get into routines like that, then that really is gonna start, setting a different, putting a little more pep in your step there, Cancer. Let's see how we can work with these energies here. But also another thing too, Cancer, when I think about the Six of Crystals, maybe some of us could be moving on. This could be something bigger than just like an attitude of the day thing. Maybe some of us are moving on from, this could be something big as, speaking of social things, maybe this could be a relationship, or maybe not even moving on past from a person, but if we had like an altercation, for example, similar kind of thing, if something has gone down and we can't fix it in that moment, then let that go, Cancer. If they started it, forgive them. Forgive them. You don't have to forget what happened, but we can forgive them right now because you got other things that you need to do, and we don't need to be carrying that weight throughout the day. Or, and you're in a safe space here, Cancer. Or, if it was on the opposite end, forgive yourself. And then if we're worried about what the other, if maybe if we said some things, maybe some harsh things, hurt someone's feelings, maybe we can give it some time if they don't want to hear us out. The universe will bring us back together. We'll in the meantime, work on you. You let that go. You learn from the situations here, and then when you're vibing at the same level again, everything's gonna be great, Cancer. But it is, it all comes down to that mental state. That's really important. When it comes to it's really important when it comes to keeping a level head throughout just the day and throughout life, Cancer. Because if we keep ourselves trapped in that whatever that it is that's plaguing us, it prevents us from growth. It prevents us from that, moving forward and expanding on our venture. And so if we have some areas where we feel like, because this Cancer, this could even get as far as like maybe even like a self-esteem thing. I'm thinking with all this air energy here, because this is Libra's card, but maybe this could be where maybe we're feeling like we're kind of beating ourselves up, you know what I mean? Maybe there's some kind of like self-esteem thing going down, and maybe that's something that we may need to let go of. Maybe some behaviors or some harsh things that we might be telling ourselves, Cancer, because that's going to interfere with our growth here. Because reality is a tricky thing, if we believe something's, hard enough, and really paint that, it'll manifest, Cancer. And so if we've been in like a down maybe space here lately, maybe try combating it with some affirmations. And affirmations have been like my go-to, they're easy, just like how the bad thoughts and things, or the more low vibratory thoughts can compound, and we can play those on and on and on again. Imagine what happens when you feed affirmations over and over and over again. Imagine telling yourself you love yourself as much as you tell yourself that you hate yourself. Not that I'm thinking that you hate yourself, or whatever negative thing you may tell yourself. Apply it with the equal amount of love, and don't tell me that there's not at least a balance. At least you feel some kind of shift. And it may be minute at first, Cancer, but it's something that if we keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, it compounds, and then at least we may not feel at our best, but at least we're moving towards normalcy, where we can at least function regularly again more. Let's see what else what are some other ways we can work with this? And more swords here, Cancer. Yeah, give yourself give yourself like a mental respite, Cancer. Like finding some ways to turn, whatever this is, to when we get in a spiral, finding maybe different, maybe some different tools. If affirmations isn't your jam, finding something. If we could just like, maybe you get like a rubber band or something when you feel you're spiraling, it's just like, okay, then that, anything to snap us back to the present moment. Because when we, depending on the spiral, if it's, whether it's past, oh well, if your past is in front of you or your future is behind you, you know what I mean, Cancer. But whether it's past or if it's future, it's not, regardless, it's not present. You know what I mean? We're time traveling right now, and it's time to being back to the moment. Because I do find when you're in the moment, Cancer, sure, that doesn't maybe take away for everything that's happening right now, but at least it pulls you back here. You're not in the thick of it. You're not reliving the highlights of it when it's going down. We're on the other end of it. We can see, we're at least out of the storm. Think of the present. The present moment is just like, it's like the eye of the storm. And we want to get to this place where the four crystals, where it's like, sure, all this stuff may be going on around us right now, but we're dealing with it. We're finding our zen, and we're finding solutions. Because as we work on that, there are going to be little openings that'll happen, little pockets for healing space, Cancer, and then we can start getting over this stuff. But that's, again, we're gonna like work with this energy. If this is resonating with you, this is good, flexible energy to work with. And too, Cancer, this could be why, if some of us have been feeling like like our minds have been just going like crazy lately. It could be the Gemini energy moon, like that's not so ridiculous. Because let me tell you, as someone who has their moon in Gemini energy it can be a lot. Any sort of Mercury influence planet or sign, Gemini and Virgo, any kind of placements there, it's going to be over. You're going to be active. It's going to be. It can be a lot sometimes, and this is why when I talk about tuning into the energies, when we start noticing those things about ourselves, it gets a little easier to start finding ways to deal with that. Like, okay, Gemini energy is not a good time for me. I find that I need to be more by myself during this time, as opposed to when the moon's in Libra. Then I can see. Then I'm more about the partnerships, as opposed to when it's in Leo. Then I can have some fun. Cancer, we start to learn ourselves and like how we operate. Any more here? So just something to think about while we're working with the energies here, because that's the whole, and to think too, Cancer, it's a lot, dealing with our ever-changing emotions, and then throwing the flavors of other signs, Libra and then Gemini and all the rest. We only get a little pocket of time to be just us. You know what I mean? It can be a lot, and the more we can understand that, and really find tools to turn that what could possibly, what others see as Cancer as being so sensitive and stuff, into a weakness. Turn sensitivity into intuitive. Like sensitive. Yeah, I'm sensitive to the energies, and right now I don't care for your flavor right now. Bam. I love it, Cancer. And you know what? I feel like some challenges is possibly getting started, the process of letting things go, because it's hard to let stuff go sometimes, even the bad stuff, or like the more low vibratory stuff, because it becomes so familiar that the thought of journeying into a new realm is scary, Cancer. And it may sound, that may sound a little silly, but it's not. It totally makes sense. You get so used to an energy, it becomes your norm. But I find that when opportunities present themselves to improve, when we're tired of feeling down, because, and it's not even because, like, Cancer, I'm not even saying like you're holding on to this stuff because you want to, I feel like that is just, we've we haven't quite, even if we've put in, finding ways to deal with whatever's, kind of on our heads here, it can, maybe we're still looking for that method. But Cancer, even if something strikes out, for example, let's say while we're looking for different ways to treat maybe what we're dealing with, and keep in mind too, Cancer, this isn't medical advice. We're homies talking here. If methods haven't been striking so far, here's a way to kind of flip it on its head, Gemini energy. Look at it, we could look at it as a loss, like, crap, this didn't work, like another thing that didn't work. Or we could look at it as, okay, that's another thing I can scratch off the list. Okay, so at least I know it's not this. Okay, this doesn't work for me. At least I've tried it, And then that just keeps us, so we keep on going, because you're going to get through whatever it is that we're going through, Cancer. We can learn to grow, because that's the beauty of life. It's a constant metamorphosis, and it's going to look different for everyone, Cancer. That's the thing too. I feel like that maybe sometimes when we're thinking about growing, or or whatever our situation may be, that we sometimes, we may not intentionally do it, but we may compare ourselves to others, like, oh, such and such, they're not nearly as, in their head as I can be. But Cancer, this could be something too, where, when I talk about checking your chart, because maybe this person, here's a fun little fact, someone who has a Leo moon, let's talk lunar energy, someone who has a Leo moon is a little less prone to be in depression as long as someone with like a moon in Cancer, because it's not to say that one is better than the other. It's just that these are the energies that these people are working with. So it might take the person with the moon in Cancer a little bit longer to get over something than someone with the moon in Leo, as opposed to someone with the moon in Aries. And then it gets nuanced like that, Cancer, because we're nuanced. And so remembering that too, that your journey is going to be individual, and then find people too. When I'm thinking about socializing energy more, find people too that are going to that understand that, and that support your growth there, and and they're going to work at your pace, and this is oh, hold on, let me get that card, Cancer. That one's for us. Let's see what else is going on here. Man, Cancer, some other challenges. 3 of Swords. And so Cancer, or sorry, so you have 3 of Swords versus the 3 of Crystals. So Cancer, I get it, if we're, whatever degree this is, that we may be in something, because this, I feel like that whatever this is, it's hurting, I feel like it's like allowing it to hurt, to process it, to not force it. And when it becomes too much, set it aside. Maybe find a way. Get yourself out of that energy. Maybe make a space, for you to feel this stuff. That might be something to think about. Maybe when we're not feeling at our best, find a safe space to be in that energy for a little bit. And then when you feel like you've had enough, kind of close that door, and then kind of, step away for a second, any sort of, or however we want to process this, Cancer, but find a way to make process, because what is leaving, these swords in your heart going to do for you long term, if we, because it is one thing too, that, because it's something that we can get through together, that we can, and that you can get through, Cancer. And and I want to be careful here, because it's one of those things where it's like, and and something to keep in mind too, Cancer, you know, when we're looking for like if we talk with friends about this stuff, and you know, maybe if we feel like they don't understand, you know, possibly, here's a thing to think about too. You know, they may not understand possibly the degree that you're going to, because how could we? No one's living, your experience is unique to you. You are the only person with you all the time, you know? So of course, how you experience three of crystals to compared to how Paul does, compared to how Sally does, compared to how I experience it. But see, the thing is, we all understand three of crystals on a baseline. It may be a challenge maybe for some of us too. You know, I'm not coming at you, Cancer, but it could be maybe that, you know, it's not comparing, you know, whose problem is worse or that you're not getting it. It's like, okay, well then, if I'm help me get it then, you know, maybe it's like, maybe there's a different way we can go about it, or maybe it's not the time to talk about it. If we're still having troubles articulating it, maybe we need to journal it out, Cancer. I'm a big fan of journaling, you know, I find that that's real. I feel like anyone, if you have any sort of like Mercury, like any sort of mercurial signs, Gemini, Virgo, or I mean, honestly, Cancer, you know, just considering how active our ruler is and how like we can feel our emotions, I feel like that would benefit all the signs. But I really feel like Cancer, for you too, you know, I really feel like that might be something where it could be a benefit. So just something to think about, okay? Any more? All right, let's get some advice from Mercury. Yeah, this is deep, Cancer, you know, and again, letting go it's hard, you know, but more. It doesn't have to have a grip on us always, Cancer. If anything, the fact that if that thing that's holding you down so tight, if anything, perfect, because now we got like, understand it, like you get eyes on it, if that makes sense, you know, like, okay, this is the feeling, and then what feelings, what are some things that coincide with that, you know, really kind of understand this thing, Cancer. Because it's one thing to just be in it all the time, and it can just come in waves, and not to try to understand it. But the more I find that we try to work with it, you know, there's growth. And I know how this is going to sound, Cancer, but even in you know, crappy situations like, you know, Three of Swords energy, you know, depressing, melancholy type of energy, there is growth that is coming out of that, Cancer. And when you get to the other side of it, because Cancer, believe me, you will, it makes you, you want to know what comes out of it, Cancer? Spoiler alert: compassion and empathy like you wouldn't believe. And that's what makes a Cancerian wonderful. It's because that you can feel to such a degree, and that you understand the depths of emotions and the nuances of emotions. You know, where some people, you know, it's just like it's like a lot of stuff, emotions just happen to people. A lot of people in general don't like to feel stuff. You know, there's a lot of people, like, they tend to numb it, you know, but we got to feel it to heal it, Cancer. And especially you got to feel this thing to heal it, to understand it, so that it doesn't keep, you know, repeating itself, you know, so that we can start getting tools from it, you know, Cancer. Oh, sorry. I'm not, and I promise I'm not coming at you. It's just stuff like this. It gets me. I'm really passionate about it, and you know, it's more. And it's one of those things, you know. And in Cancer too, this can be, if we're working with someone who might be dealing with this. You know, this is something too. You know, this is going to, it's a transformative energy for everyone, you know, when you realize too that you can get at the other side of this. And in Cancer, let's switch back over. In Cancer too, you know, and I do hope you understand that, you know, I'm hoping that this message is coming across well, because, you know, it really is. I'm gonna give you I'm gonna give you a little nugget about me, real vague, but I was in it. You know, I was in a heavy 3 of swords, 8 of crystals. You don't got the 9 of crystals. I'd even throw a 9 of crystals in there. But for like a good time, Cancer, good time. Least half my life. It's kind of crazy thinking about it. But what has happened on the other side of it has been spectacular, you know, and and granted, there's still a lot to unpack, you know. It's one of those things, it's a non-stop thing. But it's a part of the journey, because look at what can come out of this Cancer. You know, if you would have told me years ago that I would be trying to do a YouTube channel to try to understand the energies, you know, to kind of help you know, Cancer navigate through the feelings, or, you know, do like, you know, stuff for the zodiac to try to understand our placements and whatnots, you know, like, I would have been like, huh? I'm trying to be a musician, get in my face. But, you know, the universe takes us. The death card, transformation, is a funny thing, you know, and it leads us down wonderful paths, and it even introduces, you know, wonderful people into our lives as well, Cancer. And all kinds of really good growth can happen from here, but it's one, realizing that you do have the power to the healing is in your hands, you know, whenever you're ready. That's the thing. And don't feel like you have to rush it. You know, I'm going to kick it with you all on this journey, Cancer. And whenever you feel the energy, you know, because sometimes it's not even a matter like I want to feel better, but it's just like I'm just so exhausted, you know. Whenever you get that time, you know, Cancer, it's going to get better. It will, you know, and it's not, and it's going to get consistent. That's the thing, because maybe even some of us too, it's like, well, sure, it gets better for a spell, and then it's like back down again. Cancer, like I said, it's practice. You know, we got to, if right now your scales are here, you know, we got work to do. We're going to be here. But as soon as we start putting stuff towards that little side of the scale here, just like you've been a beacon all this time for these lessons here, now the universe is just like, you drop that first little nugget in there towards healing, the universe is like, there you are, Cancer. Yes. Now we can start. Ace of Wands. And that's really, Cancer, sometimes that's all it takes. It's just one little thing. And then doing it again. And Cancer, really, if you know, I wouldn't tell you what to do, but one easy affirmation, you know, just to start off, if affirmations, it might feel weird at first, Cancer, but give it a try, and then make your own, you know, work with it. But I love myself. It's nice, it's quick, it's easy when you're in a pinch, and it gets you. It'll just these little tools just kind of level you out, Cancer. So I hope this makes sense, and you know, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to seem like I'm saying like I have all the answers or anything like that, Cancer. It's just, these are things that these are just personal tools that I've, you know, used over the years, you know, things that I've been trying, you know, things that I'm learning, you know, because it's still, I'm like, it's been all that stuff. I had a lot of stuff, a lot of healing to do, but it can happen, Cancer. So, all right, I'm gonna leave that there. So if you like that, give it a thumbs up. If you know someone who may be resonating with this, you know, let's, you know, share it, Cancer, because, you know, who better to know what's going on with the Cancer than another Cancer, you know, like, because other signs, it's nothing against them, but they don't get it, you know, and it really, it's nothing, just like how we don't get it, how it is to be a Libra. They don't understand, or even a Scorpio, you know. to be a Cancer, you know, for that to be your sun, moon, rising, you know, even your Venus, you know, that's how you love, your Mercury, that's how you communicate, you know. Wherever you have Cancer influence, the moon is influencing you. So there's that emotional depth that's happening. And it's a lot. And it's where we may not be able to relate on whatever instances, you know, what's going down, we can at least, we're Cancers. You know, let's just start there. Let's just put all that nonsense aside. We're Cancers. I got you. Lay it on me. What's going on, you know? So share that. And then in that time, hopefully you've subscribed if you haven't already. Hit that bell button. You get notified when I release videos each week. Insight timer. You know, I think that's going to be the new thing that I'm pushing now, Cancer, instead of like social media. I'm still on Facebook, so, you know, follow me, friend me, whatever on Facebook. Friend me on Insight Timer. You know, that's a nice, you know what, Cancer? Oh, I just had a wonderful idea. Cancer, I'm going to have something cooking up for you in, oh my goodness. Cancer, I just had a wonderful idea. Thank you. Stay tuned. And then, so see what I mean? Working with the Gemini energy and thinking of ideas and how compassionate you, oh, Cancer, this is brilliant. I'm so excited. And then, thank you, lastly, what? Oh, take your sun, your moon, your rising, your Venus, your Mercury, your Mars. Those are your personal planets, Cancer. Check those out, you know, whenever you get some chance, because that may give you some insight on your stuff too, because it's blow your mind. And then go check my other channel, Alchemist 8. I do videos Monday, or I do weekly videos there with different monthly themes weekly. I've said it a bunch. All that housekeeping down in the description. I'm still on this idea, Cancer. But let me get your surprise card. Let me get your surprise card so I can get out there and doing stuff for you. We got the Six of Stars here, Cancer. Now we're getting it together. With the Six of Stars, let me start with if we're working with someone who may be going through, you know, kind of a tough time, maybe just dealing with getting their mental health in line, you know, and Cancer, another thing too, your mental health is important. Make sure we're always taking care of that. Make sure we're taking care of that. But if we're taking care of someone with, or, you know, helping someone along with that, be mindful of your energy as well, Cancer, because you know how we love to help. We'll give our all to it. So be mindful of that. Just because we can get caught up in that too, and then it gets to where it's going to be hard to help. You know what I'm saying? You know, just be mindful how much energy you can pour into that and communicate with this person. You know, just like, hey, if we're going to do this thing, we need to be clear on what's going on. Communication. All this swords here, communication. You know, making sure that we're letting each other know what's going on, creating a safe space. That's another thing too. Create a safe space for you to express yourselves and to feel this stuff here. And then if we're feeling this right now, Cancer, don't worry about healing others right now. Heal you, nurture you. Because again, same thing applies. You can't heal anybody if you're hurt. You know, it's not effectively, you know. So take that time and be with yourself, okay? And yeah, but Cancer, I got some research to do, but I got a good idea. So stay safe out there, Cancer. And listen, I'm excited because even if we're going through something right now, I want you to know that something beautiful came out of this, you know, and I'm excited to this. I'm going to start here. You started this, Cancer. I'm going to start with you, but something beautiful happened here. So know that there is hope. And if we're having trouble, you know, keeping eyes on the moon and raising that vibration. You know what? I was thinking that's what I do for Alchemist 8. You know what? Instead of keeping eyes on the moon by yourself, no, I'm kicking it right there with you. If I can't be there physically, I can be there energetically, and we're gonna look at the moon together there, Cancer. Isn't that nice? And I will catch you on the next one. Later.